You already know how to solve logic grid puzzles. In this video, you're going to make one.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to make one here, and you follow along, but you make it your own. Let's do a 4x4 one. First, draw the grid. That's just a box that's divided into 4 this way and 4 this way. Then you're going to need to pick words for the grid. I've decided that I'm going to make mine about mythical creatures. So I'll write that up here as a title. And those mythical creatures will be an alicorn, Bigfoot, a centaur, and a dragon. You can make your puzzle about 4 of anything or anybody. Names are really common to use here. Now, as a background story, I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to connect these 4 creatures with 4 different places. So my story will simply be, which creature is where? And those places will be the mountains, a neighborhood, the ocean, and a park. Now, how do we write the clues? I'm going to show you a secret trick I developed. I call it clue facts. The first thing to do is pick the solution. This is the final solution of the puzzle, the one that where the solver gets it, they're done. And you can mark that solution right into this grid. This isn't going to be the final grid your solver sees. This is more for you to take notes. It's like scratch paper as you're creating the puzzle. I like to mark my solutions into the grid with squares. And you can just pick them randomly. I'm going to pick this one, this one, this one, and this one. If you want to make your own, that's also perfectly fine. Just make sure that when you have chosen them, there's exactly one yes in every row and in every column. That's very important because the solver will be assuming that each creature is in a different place. So just one yes per row, one per column. When you've gotten those marked in, you're ready to start picking clue facts. I'm going to pick my first one here. I'm going to write a 1 in this square. And that 1 is a clue fact. Clue facts are reminder notes. This 1 is a reminder note that when it's time for me to write clue 1, it can have anything in it at all, as long as it gets the solver to put an O in this square. We can pick the words later. If a great clue 1 happens to occur to you right now, it's perfectly fine to write it down, but we don't have to. So once we write the clue 1, the solver is going to put an O there. Then, of course, what they're going to do is they're going to fill in X's in the rest of the rows and columns, because that's what they do. And so it's good for you to do that now too. I like to use little fill-in marks, like a big 1 here, and then just little fill-in marks, because I don't like to get the fill-in marks mixed up with the clue facts. So whatever your clue 1 is, when the solver reads it, they're going to do this. O, X, 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 X. Great. Let's move to clue 2. Let's give them another yes clue fact. I'll give them an O in this square. So I'll write a 2 there to remind me to have clue 2, have them put an O here. And then when they do that, they'll make their X's. So I'll put in little X's. Doot, 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 doot. And that's fine. What you see here is very typical when you're constructing logic grid puzzles. You see this pattern where there's 2 blanks and 2 more blanks. And that pattern tells you you just have to put in 1 more clue and you're done. I'm going to have them write an X. So this clue 3 is going to be a no clue. And so I'm going to make a big X right here because I'm just going to have them arbitrarily right at here. And to remind me that this is clue 3, I'll put a little 3 there. I don't know if you can see this 3, but I can. It's a 3 for clue fact 3. And when they write that X in, then they'll write in an O here, and then they'll write in that if they're kind of a perfectionist. It's funny, most solvers like to write that final X. So it's a funny thing about solving puzzles. It just feels so good to fill in all the squares. And that's enough facts for anyone to solve the puzzle. So now we're ready to write the clues. The alicorn is flying over the ocean. And when the solver sees this, they'll do what they're supposed to do, and then we're ready for clue 2. Clue 2, we can just say the centaur is in the neighborhood. There are lots of other ways to make clues interesting. I have a video that covers some of these ways, and I'll just abbreviate that. This is just a scratch copy anyway. We'll make it pretty later. And then clue 3, well, that's easy. Bigfoot is not in the mountains. You might be wondering, am I going to let my solvers see all this stuff? No. In the copy you give your solvers, the grid will be blank. They will not see the clue facts. They're going to see something like this. And this is what they're going to do. The alicorn is flying over the ocean. The centaur is in the neighborhood. Okay, centaur neighborhood. And they're going to do like that. Bigfoot is not in the mountains. All right. And then they'll probably do that too.
To recap, here's the steps. Draw a grid and choose words. Then decide on a solution. Then choose clue facts. What clue facts are is described in the video. Check that the clue facts you've chosen let solvers find the solution. Finally, use the clue facts that you've chosen to write the clues.